Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It's me, your girl, Brit Reacts, and today we are reacting to Bill Burr's thoughts on Southern people. Let's see what he's got to say.
Appalachian writing in about the ignorant South. All right, so here was my thing. All of this shit came about when I was watching the World Series. And, I'm trying to root for the Braves because they've been there for so many times. And
True.
every 5 seconds, their moron fan base is fucking doing the tomahawk chop. So, I don't know. I was just thinking about it, and I just came up with this theory that, maybe if Northern whites treated Southern whites better after the Civil War or somehow got over the fact that they tried to secede from the Union, the bad blood ended, and they didn't, try to fiscally fuck them over and have prejudices against the accent and all that type of shit, and showed them some empathy, and late night talk show hosts didn't constantly do jokes about Southerners, fucking their own sisters and hillbilly shit. Maybe they would be more empathetic. And when people said, hey, that tomahawk chop thing, you might want to think about that, they'd be like, all right, I'm open to that.
All right. I really thought I was going to get like full on Billiam. I think Bill, there's two versions of Bill for me. There's Billy the Goat, who is more of the stand-up comedian, just making me like laugh until I pee my pants. And then there's Billiam, who is more on these podcasts where he is completely unrestricted and really gives his like thoughtful life, everyday life living perspective. I thought he was like, and sometimes he can get like real crazy with those perspectives. And who knows, we're 1 minute in. If you're new here, hello, thank you, welcome to the party. If you're not, then you might know that I was born in New York. My whole family is from New York. On my maternal side, my father's side is from New Jersey. So I come from a lot of New Yorkers, Long Islanders, Jersey, Newark. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I know. But I grew up in Atlanta, in the suburbs of Atlanta. So I call myself a New York peach because I used to go back to New York every summer, spend time. Like I never felt departed from New York. I moved back there in my 20s for about 6 years. So I still feel very connected to New York. But my formative years, my grade school years were done in the north side of Atlanta. And I don't think I recognized or maybe like just really identified the Southern culture and the pride that comes with being Southern. You know what I mean? I think I was super it just wasn't a part of my world. Like I didn't live with my family. We weren't Southerners. You know what I mean? We were New Yorkers who planted in the South. And so the culture, and this goes for any race of people in the South. If you are a Southern Belle, you are a Southern Belle, whether you're purple, yellow, green, or tan. Like it don't matter. If you like to hunt, you like to hunt. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. This is not a skin thing. This is about the pride of being Southern. And I don't think I realized that, y'all, maybe until I got to college, because then I went to college in like rural South Georgia. And there I think I started to understand, you saw like, the Confederate flag and the people who had the pride and what that meant because of what Bill is talking about, right? Like the Union and the war and then the split, like all those things. And they hold a lot of pride on the flag about that. And I know that flag is super controversial, but I'm just speaking from the sense of the Southern pride. And it didn't really dawn on me until I started to get a lot older. Like, oh, wow, there is like a real deal divide here. Like, it's crazy. I never knew. So I'm interested to see where this goes. But that's just some fun facts about me and just, I guess, my perspective on it, because I feel like I understand both sides a little bit, which has kept me completely neutral, because I don't necessarily like rah-rah for the Yankees or rah-rah for the Braves. That was my first Braves game. This guy took me there on a date, and I was like, oh, baseball is lit. And as far as like the tomahawk chop goes, I can tell you right now, it's never going to change. It's never going to change, because the stance is no one meant for it to be offensive. And as far as the fans go, it is strictly about the fandemonium of the Braves. And there are a couple of sports teams, not just the Braves, I think even in college, that don't like the Florida, not University of Florida State, one of them, don't they do the chop too? y'all gonna have to come down here and chop off people's arms if you want that to stop.
Just an idea I had, right? I don't read. So this person is writing in about the ignorance, Appalachian, writing, so he lives somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay.
Dear Billy Turkey Titties. Turkey tits would have been better. I still like turkey titties, but turkey tits
I like turkey
get
titties.
the alliteration almost 3 times because the E ruins the T. Titties, turkey tits. All right, there, turkey tits. I mean, that's fucking great. That's right out of Jerky Boys. This
love that.
letter is already a winner. Turkey tits. I heard your podcast where you briefly mentioned your theory that if Northerners were more compassionate to Southerners, then maybe they wouldn't fly such blatantly racist flags or be more considerate of other cultures, etc. Yeah, basically paraphrase what I just said. I've lived in West Virginia since I was around 5 years old. Because I chose to further my education, Jesus Christ, I'm too stupid to read his fucking sentence in my language about education. I still fuck it up. And because I chose to further my education, because I form my own opinion based on facts and refuse to let social media like Facebook brainwash me. You sound like you're fighting it, sir. Fight the good fight. And,
Definitely.
And a smaller percentage of folks my age aren't hateful and ignorant like the people before us. All right, something happened when you rewrote that sentence. Anyway, he goes, it doesn't mean we're not piss poor, though. What so many people fail to understand is that places like West Virginia are essentially third world countries inside of the United States. West Virginia specifically was stripped of its resources by coal companies. And while reaping the benefits of coal, paid miners next to nothing and fought tooth and nail with the military at their side to stop them from unionizing.
Wow.
Google the Battle of Blair Mountain. Wow. See, this is more shit.
I never knew. And he's not wrong because West Virginia is one of those states that, like, I, speaking for myself, like, forget about and don't know a lot about. I think, and this is going to sound so lame and like, girl, grow up, but I think one of the first, like, even people I knew that were from West Virginia, there's a Teen Moms on MTV. One of the moms on that show is from there. And I remember when, like, in the opening, I had to be in high school when this show came out. And in the opening, she said she was from West Virginia. And I was like, West Virginia? Like, who? And now I know a lot of people that live in Virginia. I have family that lives in Virginia. I have like family history in Virginia, but West Virginia feels so far away. That is so true. And I never knew this history. That's really, really sad. Pending it's true. I don't know why he would write in and lie about that. But as far as I know, I'm going to believe him. That's awful.
The Battle of Blair Mountain. See, this is more shit.
Why don't we learn about this in school?
That should be in the history books.
Right.
Now
there
here
we go,
it is.
Bill.
This is white people fucking with poorer white people. What a surprise. The Battle of Blair Mountain, BLAIR. Look that up if you want. Poor funding across the board from infrastructure to education is a main factor in what makes people ignorant and hateful here. Yeah. I mean, listen to me. Every once in a while, broken clocks right twice a day is what they say. I think I stumbled onto something. A huge portion of people here don't even have access to the internet. With a piece of shit like Joe Manchin in office to represent this place, you know that nothing is being done to help poor people. The fucker just shut down the billionaire tax, even though 0 billionaires live in West Virginia.
Wow.
Our governor, Big Jim Justice, is also a fucking idiot. Please tell me that's his name. Jim Justice. Here he is reacting to COVID numbers a few months ago. I don't want to watch another guy in office just fucking ignoring doctors. The people that have brains and intuition to make this state better end up leaving because of all these factors above. There's practically zero opportunity here. And I'll tell you something. I've been to Virginia. It is a fucking gorgeous state. Absolutely one of the most beautiful parts of this country. And the fact that there's no news even about this shit.
I'm hoping he meant he's been to West Virginia, which I do feel like I know that it is. There's like a lot of like mountains and trees. This is really sad. And I've talked about this in videos where the subject matter is relevant. Where like circumstances, I don't really understand how people can deny the fact that circumstances change people's lives. Like the circumstances they are born into, they are dealt, they are dealing with can change someone's life drastically. And if people could understand that more, I feel like we would have more compassion in our country more specifically, but in our world too. Like if you could just understand that like your circumstance could change by 1 degree and your whole life is changed. And people who live in poverty, who are undereducated, underfunded, have hard times. I mean, you're literally saying like they have less access than you, and you're wondering why they can't pull it together the way you can. It's like you're literally looking at the numbers that tell you these people have less education than you, less education available to them than you. It's not like they don't want to be educated. You know what I mean? They have less money, they have less resources, and you're like, well, if I did it, they can. It's like, but everyone's situation, if it was just a little different by a little degree, could be your situation. And I just feel like if people could look at life like that more, we could change so much, because there's such a lack of empathy and compassionate understanding for other situations, because most of us, I included, are only worried about our bubble and our world that we live in. And if we're not affected by it, the people we love aren't affected by it, then out of sight, out of mind. This is really sad to hear.
Shit, what's going on down there? I could go on much longer rant about all of this bullshit, but I'll end with this. West Virginia is a beautiful state, see, filled with untouched wilderness and huge potential to be a state like Colorado in the future if we did things like legalize marijuana and put money into the public education and infrastructure. Yeah, in some way there would be a tipping point, and they would just start building fucking glass towers and all of that shit. So, I don't know. They would just fucking make everything all corporate. But I hear what you're saying. I wish there was a way to just help out your state, without having all the corporations then descending down there because people have money. The reason that it's destitute is because of the rich taking advantage of our resources and our people. Huge fan of everything you've done, from your stand-up to your character on The Mandalorian. I'm a little behind on F is for Family, but I plan to binge it all once the last season drops. I'd love to see you do a show in Charleston. I'd love to do one there. Thank you. He says, I know both Bert and Tom are going to be here soon. Well, if those two guys are going there, Jesus Christ, I don't need to go there. You guys are going to destroy. Thanks, and go fuck yourself. So there you go. There you go. I like hearing it. Come on, man. Everybody write in. I'll be like the fucking...
I love that people write in and like give him a crazy nickname and then tell him to go F himself. I love that.
Oh. There you go. I like hearing it. Come on, man. Everybody write in. I'll be like the Michael Moore of podcasting, except what I won't do
I don't know who that is.
Act like Canada is this super happy fucking place where you don't have to lock your doors, and nobody does anything bad to anybody, and there's never any riots. And they love when a person, who isn't white plays hockey. They always have wonderful experiences in the minors. Why Southerners do weird stuff. Here's another guy writing in.
Okay,
hey, Billiam of the Crimson Sack.
Billiam! All right, I didn't create it, I guess. I think Billiam is the best name ever. He should have just been named Billiam.
I like that. That's fucking... if I knew what my family crest was, I might have that written in Latin underneath it. Been listening to your podcast for a few years now. First time writing in. Love your stand-up and your podcast. Keep up the great work. I was listening to your podcast from last week, November 1st, 2021, and heard you wondering about why people from the South do stuff like fly rebel flags and other stuff that seems stupid and or outdated. Yeah, I'm going to stop short of saying stupid because I don't want to be like fucking, I don't remember how bad I did in high school. So I would just say the lack of empathy.
Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into it because I was like, well, is West Virginia even in the South? I'm like thinking this in my head. Now we're going to get to it. Let's see what's going on here.
Dare I say the pride.
The pride.
Kind of going out of your way, to hurt other people.
It definitely does feel like that sometimes.
Is what I find confusing. But then again, I have a crushing need to be liked. So, Anyway, I'm from North Carolina. Go Tar Heels. And I see things like the rebel flag pretty regularly. The attitude generally doesn't seem to be one of hatred towards a certain people or anything, but usually one of regional pride. Parentheses, love must spread. I do think that there is an element of spite involved in a we're still here kind of way, but it seems more defiant than anything. Yeah. As for the attitudes of people from other parts of the country towards us Southerners, meaning northern whites, people on the coasts, it's rarely ever a positive one. No, I used to do a bit in my act, something you're going to touch upon here, I can see in the next sentence here. I'll read your shit first, and I'll do my bit. I have a degree in electrical engineering and have kept my accent since moving out of the South, but I get funny looks from time to time or even straight up told my accent sounds uneducated. Yeah, think how fucked up that is. Wow. Mark Twain was a Southerner, right? There's a bunch of super smart fucking Southerners, but I'm too stupid to remember all of them. But I used to do a bit in my act saying, like, if Albert Einstein had a Southern accent, no one would have listened to him. He would have been.
That's interesting because not that I'm disagreeing. I guess maybe also I grew up in the South, so no one is talking about anyone's accent in a bad way. I grew up, like I said at the beginning of this, with a northern family, and like I'm the country bumpkin. All my cousins that still live in New York or like didn't move, like me and my cousins that did move, were like the country ones, and they laugh at us. But I feel like that about the New York accent, like, okay, for example, when you're auditioning to be in a movie or a commercial, you have to keep a pretty neutral accent. They don't want to hear a Southern or a Northern accent unless that's what the character calls for. They don't want to hear either. I feel like people don't want to hear either. They're like, don't. I feel like people feel that way about both. I also obviously agree with this guy, what he was saying for the most part. I do think Bill was right when he said sometimes it does feel like the rebel stuff can feel like it's going out of its way to be mean. Like just like the bumper stickers that'll be like, F this and F that. And it's like, I got a kid in the backseat who's going to read that and be like, Mommy, why does that person have that on their backseat? And you have to like, or their bumper or whatever, you have to explain it. Or just sometimes it does feel like, you're fine to feel however you want to feel. But like, gosh, does it have to be so mean? I don't know. Like, I definitely feel that way sometimes reading some of the things that I read that people put on their cars. I think that's like the biggest time that I ever feel like, whoa, you really feel strongly about this. And like, whoa, I kind of don't even want to drive next to you because I don't know how you feel about me kind of thing, because it can feel a little aggressive. But I do think majority of it is just pride for their own. And that's like their tribe, And
had a Southern accent, no one would have listened to him. He would have been up there, and I can't remember if I did this on my first half hour. Be pointing at the board going, A equals MC squared. And people, shut up, you fucking moron. Come on, man, I'm serious. This fucking shit works. Something like that. But that is true. There's a prejudice against your accent. Sometimes it's a bit more subtle where people will say something like, wow, I didn't expect you to know so much. Ooh, as if I didn't spend 8 fucking years in college. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the late, great Vic Henley. Vic Henley kept his accent. And was a super smart guy with, being a super smart guy, he had really smart material. And I used to love watching him killing in New York City. And he never really addressed, at least all the years I watched him, he never said like, I don't really remember. He just sort of talked about life and would crush. Anyway, now, granted, we're easy to make jokes out of, and we're one of the few groups of people left that it's considered safe to make fun of or mock just for the circumstances of their birth. Fair. So I can't fault people for hanging on to that. but it doesn't.
That's another like really good point is like in cancel culture, everything and everyone you make fun of, like, you're canceled for, but Southern people do feel like they're fair game. But I think it's and I'm saying this in a positive way, like, because I feel like Southern people don't have a problem fighting back, like standing up for themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I don't know, maybe not. But I do think that like Southern people definitely have a mentality that like other groups might not be able to endure.
But it does foster a bit of resentment, especially when you see people act like there's not other parts of the country just as ignorant, if not more so, than the South. Well, hey, I've been to them all, and I can definitely tell you that the East Coast meathead, myself being one, could give you Southerners a run for their money.
Right.
Yeah. I just went to a football game today. I saw a lot of great people, saw a lot of animals. I mean, you go to a sporting events, the fucking animals come out. Yeah, so, yeah, there's one for you. I think just in general, if people, like, we're just going in this really bad direction of egos and name calling. And if people could just sort of fucking relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And just step back and kind of, we could go back to maybe a little common decency. But then, that doesn't even make sense, because there was, air quote, common decency decades ago, I feel. But like a lot of other shit was worse. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. When's Jesus going to be done with that nap? I mean, when exactly how bad does it have to get before he comes back and is like, oh, Jesus.
Billiam!
Have to come back down there, fucking settle things down. Is that what he's going to do? He's like, settle things down?
Yeah.
Like shit's getting out of control in this squared circle and he's going to come running out of the locker room like a fucking wrestler? Is that what's going to happen? All right, question.
Oh man, I say that probably once a week. Jesus, come get us. We're ready for you. Like, Jesus, just come on and get us. Like, but I've never heard anyone refer to it as a nap. Like, when is he gonna wake up from that nap? Like, Lord, it's getting real crazy down here. That was funny. Yeah, I mean, I think that guy made really valid points, and I think a lot of times what we see as people who don't, just talking in the terms of Southern people, but you can apply this to other groups of people. What we see is just them standing up for themselves because they have such negative connotations around them and what they believe in and what they're prideful about. So I think that was a healthy, thoughtful, like, conversation that I guess Bill had with himself, but he was reading out loud. So it was kind of a back and forth. But yeah, I just always think I'm open to both perspectives again, because I have both perspectives. I definitely don't identify as a Southerner, but I have tons of people who have been in my life, that are still in my life, who will be in my life, that are Southerners. And they're great people. So, and let me tell you something right now, you'll never, ever, 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 ever find anything more comforting than like Southern charm and Southern greetings. Like, you go to New York and people are pushing you around and not even looking in your eyes. You come down to the South and people are like, how are you today? Like, looking you in your eyeballs. So I agree with Bill. If we could all just learn to like tolerate each other more, then I think people wouldn't feel like they have to scream about who they are and what they believe in, because they're being left alone. I don't know. That's my opinion. You can have yours. Go have the day you deserve. Peace.